Audio test, 1, 2.
He looked at their qualifications and then fill out applications. We just follow that.
All right, we all here? All right. Good evening, welcome everybody. Scott, I'm going to turn it over to you now.
If everyone please join me for
Okay, trying it.
If everyone could please join me for a moment of silence. Now please stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Scott. Gordon, you have in front of you the consent agenda. Does anybody want to take any items off of consent for discussion? And if not, I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Make that motion. Tom, second. All those in favor say aye. Aye, all right. Well, that is quick work. We will move forward then to our director's update. Dr. Dyer.
All right, thank you, and Dr. Ricker's gonna put that on the screen for us tonight. There we go. Well, this week is National Teacher Appreciation Week. I started my morning today at Hardee's, which is not the worst place to start your work week, and had the opportunity to talk with Steve Hartline and saw several of our staff coming through at that time of the morning, so it was good to see them. And there are activities happening all week long at various places throughout the community, so we definitely appreciate the support of all of our local businesses and the radio station and everyone involved in that, including the school board, who has approved and has funded Chick-fil-A lunches for all of our staff in our schools and central office coming up this week. So that's a lot of fun, and we just really appreciate the work of our teachers, really all of our staff, but this week specifically is a great time to recognize and celebrate the work of our teachers and fantastic things that they do. So that's always fun. Want to showcase, want to have up here to celebrate with Cleveland High School and Cleveland Middle School. Both were recognized as Capturing Kids' Hearts National Showcase Schools. This is the second time for the high school and first time for our middle school, so we're very proud of them for the work they're doing to be showcased as a national model school for the work we're doing in this area. Mrs. O'Brien, who is there in the back, hi. She has been named the Tennessee Association of Secondary Schools Principals East Tennessee Principal of the Year. So congratulations to her. That honor, and of course that follows Dr. Wayne earlier this year. She's our 2020 Principal of the Year for the state of Tennessee. So two great honors there, showcasing the wonderful work our school administrators are doing. As you're aware, Gina Reed has resigned from Supervisor of School Nutrition, and she has moved on to work for a private industry local area, and Tasha Cox has come in as our interim School Nutrition Supervisor. Tasha has worked in that area for a while, so we've moved her into the interim role to close out the school year, and we'll be posting and moving forward with a full-time position that would start in July. So just wanted to make you aware of that. Speaking of job postings, if you follow us on social media, you know that we're posting jobs and we're putting things out there in all different roles in all different schools. So for people in our community that are watching, make sure you check our job postings. They change frequently, and that's something that we need good people coming in, and we're always looking for the best of the best, whether it be substitute teachers, people working in our cafeterias, or whatever role we have. We're definitely in the market to hire right now. I probably didn't need to put this even up there because everybody knows this. May 21st is our final day of the 2020-21 school year. You could ask any student or teacher that one right now, and they would all know that. It is a half day, and it's always a fun day to celebrate and watch our kids head out for the summer programming. Although, just around the corner after that, May 24th, summer camps begin. And we have sign up coming now. You're going to hear more about that here in a few minutes. Dr. Elliott's going to update on that and where we stand. But that's my update for tonight.
Very good, Dr. Dyer. I think we're going to move on to the tenure subject.
Yes,
That's always a
and
happy thing to talk
Mr.
about.
Kaiser, Director of Human Resources, is going to come forward.
Okay.
There was about 6 teachers out there who claimed they didn't know May 21st.
Oh, yeah, I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
So the procedure is that, you know, the law says that the superintendent has to recommend a teacher for tenure and the board has to approve. So if we don't approve, then the teacher can't get tenure, but we can't approve a tenure that he doesn't recommend. So it's very important that we work together on that. And I think we all have great confidence in what Dr. Dyer will bring to us for that.
Yes, we have some great list of teachers up for tenure this year, and Mr. Kaiser, take off from there and tell us who they are.
All right, so just a reminder, tenure is not what it once was. It's a little bit differently. You have to really truly earn tenure at this point in time with a level 4 or 5 score in the last 2 years of a 5-year probationary period. So these individuals have accomplished that, and we're going to ask them to come in, beginning with Ms. Leslie Avery. Ms. Carrie Bosterdette from Cleveland High. Ms. Jennifer Cobalt from Cleveland High. Ms. Shannon Giannacio from Stewart. Some of these individuals are unable to attend, but Miss Whitney Harden from Cleveland High School is also eligible for tenure. Ms. Erin Holland from Stewart is eligible for tenure. Ms. Katie Jones at Blythe-Bauer is eligible for tenure. Ms. Corey Lawson at Cleveland Middle School. Ms. Hannah Miedema at Cleveland Middle School. Mr. Derek Morris at Cleveland Middle School. Ms. Donna Ratcliffe at Yale Ross. Ms. Anna Spears at Cleveland High School. Ms. Leah Talley at Cleveland High School. Ms. Megan Van Biscoten at Arnold Memorial. Those are individuals who are eligible for tenure at this time.
So your recommendation, Dr. Dyer?
Yes, ma'am. My recommendation is that we approve tenure for all of these eligible teachers.
Your motion? Carolyn, and second by Charlie. All right, any questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye, it's unanimous, congratulations.
I'm gonna sneak out for a quick picture.
I thought I was gonna go get his picture taken. Then we're gonna do some spotlights. We didn't have them shake hands as for obvious reasons, but, and they have to come in and go back out really fast. It's so good to have them at our board meetings. It's been so long since we had people at our board meetings. Really good. Yeah. That's quite an achievement, getting the tenure though, really good. So we got it. Did you get your picture, Julie? Oh, okay. Then we're gonna have some spotlights. Board members, while we're waiting, let's be thinking about our June meeting. We had scheduled it for the 14th, I believe, which was the second Monday, but there's conflicts all over the place. So we're looking again at a different date of June the 3rd, which is a Thursday. And we were thinking maybe lunchtime meeting. Would you all look at your calendar? So we can know by the time we get to the end of this meeting, so Julie can put that on it. It's a Thursday, June the 3rd at noon is what we're looking at.
I'm back.
We're looking at our June the 3rd board day while you're doing that, so.
Are we skipping July because?
Yeah, we'll count for June. If we have to have a special call meeting like we had to have last year because of the COVID, we will do that, but otherwise we'll skip July. Does that look like it's gonna work for everybody?
I mean, it won't work for me, but
I
it doesn't really matter.
think you're gonna wanna come to the board meeting, but you're always welcome, Scotty.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll just, move on then, Dr.
Okay.
Dyer.
All right, so spotlight. We have 2 spotlights today. We're gonna start with Claire Krebs. We'll let you stand up real quick if you want to. Why don't you come over here to the podium? We'll need you to do that. Claire is can we say world-renowned archer at this point?
Probably not world renowned, but you can say national.
Okay, we'll go with national. That sounds good. I was gonna take you up to the next level.
Maybe someday.
Yeah, now I'm gonna have to read my notes because this is a long title, but she is the winner of the 2021 Tennessee Shootout Series State Archery Champion in Olympic recurve division. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So tell us what that means.
So I shoot a recurve bow, so there's no like wheels, so there's no let off when you pull back. And so a recurve bow with a sight on it, so that's what makes it Olympic recurve. And that's, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, when did you get interested in archery?
I got interested in 7th grade. I started, and my grandpa is actually my coach.
Okay.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, it's really awesome because I formed an amazing bond with him, and so we spend a lot of time together.
awesome.
That's very, very good.
And of course, now we have archery in some of our physical education classes in our schools, which is
Yes.
really neat. So that's a
Well, that's amazing that you are the champion for the state and nation.
Thank you.
That's very amazing. Congratulations, and thank you for coming so we can see your face and,
So what is the next step?
So that was indoor, and there's, so right now I'm actually working on 3D,
Okay,
and that's in the woods,
Mhm.
and that is my favorite. You shoot
Okay.
animal targets, and, I actually yesterday, I shot a new personal best.
okay,
A 191 out of 200, which is really pushing it with the bow.
that's awesome. Good job.
What grade are you in now?
I'm a sophomore.
Do you have a chance for scholarships? Some universities have that, or?
Yes, I actually have received a few offers already
for
through
you.
some of the programs I've done, yeah.
Good.
That's great.
Yes, and then actually 2 weekends ago, I went to Paris, Texas, and there I'm competing in a class with anyone from 13 to 54, guys and girls, and I actually placed 6th.
the youngest.
We're proud of you. Great job.
Congratulations. Again,
Okay.
you're welcome to stay, but you don't have to.
Thank you.
We're gonna.
Congratulations.
Thank you, appreciate it. Good to see you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We're gonna move on to our strategic plan.
We are.
Is student information.
Yeah, Mr. Carter's gonna come and give us an update about student testing and what we've been up to here lately, so.
Yes, I'm neither a champion archer nor a writer.
Well, we like you anyway, so that's
Yeah, I
okay.
can give a lot of tests. So. I just wanted, Dr. Dyer asked that I come talk to you guys about assessment testing in particular, just because that's what we're in the midst of this year. So, Dr. Ray, you can go ahead. We are in the midst of, the state has allowed 4 testing windows this year. We chose to be in 2 of those for our grades 2 through 8. You can see at the top, we've opted into grade 2. And we're in our 2nd week. We're doing mostly makeups right now from grades 2 through 8. But as I talked to you earlier, I can't remember how long ago it was, a couple of weeks ago, that those are the subjects that we're testing in. Grade 2 is just ELA and math, and then 3 through 5 will do science on top of that, and then middle school does social studies as well. And the course is starting this week, so we've got, it's not up here on the slide, but just talking to Ms. O'Brien, we have to make up our tests from the fall. The state is requiring that. So, we had to close for the virus there at the end, and we missed all of U.S. history and all of biology. So we're having to scoot all those people up into the spring and do a makeup session for them as well. So it's not a fun testing season. It never is a fun testing season. It's a little more painful than normal this year.
So, Michael, if you took US history in
Yeah.
first semester, then you're not getting this test until,
Exactly.
Well, I think the kids have probably forgotten a lot, where there's this time difference, and that's gonna affect everyone's scores, is it not?
I mean, I would say definitely, yes. But the state is wanting to at least get all districts to 80% participation. And so since we were unable to do that, they moved these students up. We had attempted to test them all the way up as late as we could, but since we closed, we didn't test a single student in either one of those, so.
So the kids are probably trying to review, so they'll do well on the test, at the same time they're trying to finish up the work for this year.
Well, luckily you all have, we've suspended accounting as part of their grade, so that I think should relieve some of the pressure. But there's a hold harmless provision on all of these scores, so.
For students and staff.
For everyone.
Yeah.
So I think it's an exercise in just making sure they get the test data at the state. So we're just doing the best we can do to make that 80%. So. Like I said, the testing windows are up there, and you can see individual testing schedules at schools. Now the state allows us to do whatever the school wants. That's what you've chosen as a district, whatever works best for each school. So those are on the website there listed. You can go ahead, Dr. It is all paper this year, and we had 500 boxes arrive on a semi-truck for this year, so it was a lot of paper. And Dr. Dyer, I think, was a little taken back with this number as
Yes.
I was. There are 15,000 tests that we're giving. When you look at subpart 1 for ELA, and then that's the writing part, and then there's the actual ELA and the other subjects. We're giving 15,000. The only way we can do that is through our school teams. We have a distributed leadership model, and they're just amazing. So every school is made up of a 4-person team that divides out the responsibilities between being a testing coordinator, security, scheduling, and accommodations, which you wouldn't believe how many tests have to have special accommodations, and then a person from materials and readiness too. So just a shout out to those teams, especially at the bigger schools like the high school and the middle school.
Michael, who's gonna check these tests? Who's
Pearson.
gonna grade them?
Pearson is going to take those tests and grade them. Now, the writing tests are overnighted, and they've already been sent back or they were sent back the first few days after they took them. They scan them and send them to readers that they've trained So the writing part's done by hand, and then the rest is computer scored. So, the results come back, there is a new online parent portal, so July 30th, parents will be able to get on there and look at with their student number. Paper copies go out obviously when they come back to school, so those results will be there. But I've previewed the online portal for my own students, and it's a pretty nice portal. It goes back in time, so I can see all the tests that my students have taken in the past. I think that's it. Any questions you guys have about?
15,000 tests.
That's the number, I really wanted an update, so you could just see how many tests are out there and the work that staff and students are doing. It's pretty tremendous when it comes to this effort testing.
That question. So about how many would you say on average, the average student, how many tests is the average student having to take this year?
Well, in the grade bands, like grade 2, they're taking an ELA and a math, and then for 3 through 5, there's a writing portion of the ELA, and there's a regular multiple choice ELA, and then they also do math and science. And then for the middle school, they have the writing, the regular ELA, the math, science, and social studies. And then the high school, it just depends what they're enrolled in. So if they're enrolled in one of those. So, I mean, if you average it all out, they're taking at least, the only people not testing are kindergarten first, and then high schoolers that aren't in those courses.
Does a semi truck come to pick them back up?
Yes, can you believe that? Maintenance is another hero in all this. They distributed it all out, and then I'll go to the schools and we'll get everything ready, but then maintenance will bring it back to the bus barn, and it's like an Amazon play. We shrink wrap it back up onto 3 pallets, and they'll get the forklift and throw it on a truck and take it back to, I think Iowa. I can't remember where the label sends it. But yeah, it's a definite operation.
So that's about 5 tests a student.
Depends on the grade level.
Yeah.
3 to 5 in the meat of the curve there. But at the ends, at the younger end and the higher end, they don't do those tests. They do other tests.
AP and dual credit we have going on right now too, so that number is just EOC.
Yeah, if you go to the next one, Dr. Rayford, I just put some other tests on here. There's all kind of other things that are getting tested too, and so at the high school, they've got AP tests for their higher level, and of course, we've got ACT, and in all of this too, there are the 1% of students that were allowed that, and special services that take the alternate assessment. So you got MSAA and alternate assessments going on at the same time as all of this, and then state dual credit, we had a class this year too, so.
I've seen on social media, a lot of teachers were showing things they were doing to relieve the stress of their elementary age students because of testing. And you say, oh, they're little guys, they don't need to be stressed out about tests, but they are. And so, my hat's off to those teachers that do all those fun things to kind of take the stress off of those kids.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it's a funny story about that. There was a middle school teacher who came through my line at Publix, and she had all this gum, she had all these mints, all these candies, and she's like, well, my kids are about to test. I didn't catch her name, unfortunately, but that's a prime example of just the students kind of boosting the morale during testing season.
And candy works.
Yeah.
It helps.
While they take the test, they could chew gum, and they love that. It says, as long as they don't put it under the desk.
That's right. We're on the test book.
Teachers do come up with very creative ways to do that,
Great job.
because it can be very stressful.
Yeah. Well, and Mr. Cars and all of his people who help with that are doing a fantastic job too. So it's a big, big undertaking, and I wanted you to see how big that was.
Is it the guidance counselors at the middle and high school that are in charge of all those teams?
We distributed it out from that a few years ago, so there is one counselor that's usually on the team, but there's usually an assistant principal is the lead usually. There's a special services teacher that usually does accommodations and scheduling, and then another person that'll deal with security.
So it's not just the guidance counselors?
No, it used to be pretty tough on that.
Yeah, it was, I remember.
What about those students that have been doing virtual
are they coming to school to take the test?
That's a great question. I didn't put that on the slides because Dr. Dyer told me to be quick, but I will answer the question. The virtual students that are still virtual, Tennessee does not have an opt-out policy. So they expect every student to test. And so the schools have been really good about scheduling with 6 feet of distance and really trying to accommodate those students on a separate schedule in some cases. So this year, there's just been even more that those school teams have done to try to get those students in, plus homeschool students we have to bring in and test by law and things. So, yeah, everybody's doing about triple and quadruple the work this year.
But it's working.
It's been a tough year, but when is the state gonna start making them count again? Because it's not fair to take, I mean, we're behind a little bit. Are they going a year from now or 2 years?
My guess would be next year.
Next year?
That would be my guess. That's just a guess, but that's my guess.
It's an interesting question because we had a hole in the data last year. We'll have kind of data that
Right.
won't be that reliable this year, but then next year, hopefully we'll have a good data set to start back again.
A lot going on in the month of May.
That's right.
All people
Oh,
have
yeah.
spring fever.
Yeah,
and-
yeah.
yeah.
A lot of things happening.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr.
guys.
Barnes. Good information. Okay, COVID task force update, Dr. Elliott.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
All right, we have a few things to talk about tonight as we come to our spring, last few weeks of this school year. First of all, our team has, COVID task force has been faithful to meet on at least every other week to take a look at upcoming events to kind of manage and figure out the best approach. And we've taken that a month at a time this year, and I appreciate everybody who's been a part of that task force. We continue to monitor numbers, and we step downward over the last semester as far as our cases and the spread. And as you look at the student numbers, they trended downward. If you look at the numbers we posted a couple weeks ago, we went up a little bit and came back down a little last week. So we're slowly but surely bringing that number down. Tonight we wanted to focus on 3 major aspects of what the task force has been focused on. The first one's about summer programming, and we have a team of coordinators now who have been working diligently in recruiting staff and getting that staff secured. We have a staff secured for all our elementary, middle, and getting there, I believe, for the high school as well for credit recovery. We have 405 students as of this morning who have applied and enrolled for the elementary summer camp. Our numbers have gone up considerably in a week's time. Our coordinators and the teachers in all the elementary schools have really been doing a great job of getting the word out and promoting our program. We're still pushing to get as many involved as we can during this week. Next week on May 14th on our PD Day, Professional Development Day, our summer staff members will be working diligently to prepare and get ready for that day, and then start making contact with those families that last week of the regular school year to get ready for May 24th. So that's our elementary update. And at our middle school, we're moving towards 119 today. We had 119 students enrolled in our 4Cs camp. That's a 4-week program in June. And with that 4Cs camp, we hope to have over 200 students. That's our goal at the middle school this year, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. We have 6 teachers lined up at each grade level to welcome those students. And so they are working diligently in recruiting students to come in and be a part of that as well. So we're excited about those programs. And of course, the high school level, we're really focused on credit recovery as we have in the past, but we're really doubling down. This year we have 8 teachers lined up, and we're going to get as many students in there as we can to the month of June to recover some of those credits. So, and we're even looking at a July option too for our students as well, and we're working on getting that staffed right now. So that's what's happening as far as summer program. So that was the first piece. Any questions about the summer program
How
information?
many certified teachers and, non-certified? I mean, we've got a lot of people working this summer, which is extra money for them, I think is good. I mean, how many people
Well, we have 48 certified teachers that we're looking at between the elementary, middle, and, well, actually more than that, I'm sorry. We have 58, okay, quick math, 66
That's Michael.
66 certified teachers, and plus a lot of paraprofessionals and a lot of nurses. We got nurses at each location as well. So it takes a whole big team here to make this work for this summer and extend it basically till almost right before the 4th of July this year.
I think it's great they're getting extra money for doing that.
Yeah,
We need
exactly.
What are the hours going to be for the summer school programs?
8 to 2 for our secondary level, and then 8:55 to 3:15 during the day for elementary students.
And it's just the one that starts May 24th.
May 24th for elementary, and then we'll start right after Memorial Day for our secondary level.
What was the number in high school you mentioned?
The middle school,
High school.
Probably 150.
about 150 is the goal with 8 teachers. Yeah. All right. The next part of our task force are some updates as far as we've been watching and considering as we transition and prepare for the 21-22 school year. We do have summer programs coming up. We have a lot of activities still going on during as we wind down this school year and jump start for the summer and also move into the beginning of next school year. So in that transition, there are some things that we've talked about that have been in our plan that have worked well for us this year, but we realize that as we've monitored numbers and we're watching cases and the health guidance that we've received from local health department to state and federal guidelines, we've taken a look at a lot of different components to make some decisions. And here's some proposals that we'd like to bring tonight from the COVID task force. First of all, at the end of this school year, which is May 21st, after Friday, May 21st, Cleveland City Schools would end the daily staff and student temperature checks. It's worked well for us. We've done that on a regular basis, daily basis. It's helped us. Also, our teachers have been great and faithful to do that. It's also developed even some relationships because of the consistent greeting each morning with the temperature checks. However, we believe it's time to phase that out at the end of this school year and transition into the summer. We do encourage families, as always, anytime, if a student has a high temperature or a fever, to keep them at home until that is no longer the case. So that's the first piece of it, the recommendation. The second piece is regarding masks. Again, we've been monitoring a lot of different aspects regarding masks, from state officials to our health officials and everything else. Our recommendation is starting immediately. For outdoor school-sponsored events, the wearing of masks will be encouraged but no longer required. Now, for our outdoor sporting events, we followed TSSAA already a few weeks ago, made that transition. But any other school-sponsored events upcoming that will be outdoors, we would change that from a requirement to now encouraged but no longer required. Then also, after May 21st, at the end of this school year, beginning on Monday, May 24th, Cleveland City Schools will no longer mandate the wearing of masks, but instead encourage that wearing and continue on the indoor facilities that we have. That would include for our summer programs and summer camps. It would be encouraged, but no longer required. And the last piece, though, just to note, is I've worked closely with Valerie Mack and Hal Taylor, following federal guidelines with transportation and federal guidelines. As of right now, masks must still be worn on those public transportations. That includes school buses. So we will still need to have that into our plan as we move into the summer months related to this, because we will be running buses for our summer programs. So that's the mask recommendation from the task force. The next piece. Question.
So in the event that we do incur a spike over the summer, will we just pick up our plan that we have for the school year, or?
Well, at that point, the plan would be changed and would require, I think, a board vote. That's what Chuck Hagel, the attorney, our attorney, has put an opinion out, that the only way that a school board, or the only way a school system can continue with a mask mandate at this point is if the school board votes for a mask mandate. The superintendent of schools can't just say we're going to do that. And luckily, you all approved our plan back in June, so that's part of the process. So if we, at the end of this vote, once you vote, if you vote for the affirmative to change these, policies that we've been working under, then it would take a school board vote to go back to any other plan other than that.
The next topic, related from our COVID task force piece, is about contact tracing. This year, our nurses have worked diligently along with administrators and other staff members to really do a great job of reporting, keeping everybody and families informed as much as possible of the cases that have arisen in our schools. And we have been faithful to report those on a regular weekly basis, and I'm really proud of that we've been transparent in that way. So as we come though to the end of this school year, we believe it is the time to discontinue that process as we come to the end of our school year and the plan that we put forth that you guys approved back last summer. So the last weekly daily data report would come on May 21st, that Friday, the last Friday of the school year. In addition, we will transition from the way we have done our contact tracing into the summer programs. And we will, like I said, have nurses, and as they identify a case, they will contact the local health department, let them know that we've had a case, and notify the individuals, and let the health department help us make contact to those families as they do their contact tracing through the health department. We'd also know that in the summer program too, it will be a good transition because we're looking at a 1-to-12 ratio in the classroom, so our students will be spread out more. So we believe this is the appropriate time to make this transition. And the last key piece related to our COVID task force piece related to the modifications is around disinfecting. And disinfecting, talking to Mr. Taylor and looking at those pieces, there are two key components. Just a reminder that we will have a cleaning crew who will continue to disinfect our classrooms on a daily basis. And we'll also, our buses daily will be disinfected each day. Our team will disinfect those buses on a regular basis. So those are the updates regarding those pieces. The last transition, I guess, related to this is within the plan was about school start times. And we did make modifications this past year to accommodate for some transportation and the transition for students to move in and out of the buildings in smaller groups, and that process, especially in our middle school and elementary schools, and also the bus routes and a lot of moving parts there. After talking to our administration and our operations team, these are some recommendations on the start times that are updated, but not too far off of where we have been. Cleveland High School and Cleveland Middle School, the proposal is to bring them back in line on the same time schedule for a 7-hour day. Again, the state expectation is for us to be on a 7-hour day. So 7:45 to 2:45. A year ago, before we went down this road, our time was 7:50 to 2:50. So this would be a 5-minute adjustment, 7:45 to 2:45. And part of the adjustment goes to elementary schools, then 8:15 to 3:15 would be the 7-hour day. Doors this year have opened at 7:45, and that we really have worked to keep those doors and get those doors open before the 8 o'clock hour to accommodate our families who have an 8 o'clock appointment to be at or work or whatever the case is. So that would continue to keep that 7:45 time there. So our proposal is to go with 7:45 to 2:45 at the secondary level, 8:15 to 3:15 at the elementary level. And there you can see the bus drop-off students times that we have coordinated with the operations and transportation team along with our school administrators, principals at those schools. All right. Yes.
The only concern I have is parents dropping students off that have to be at work at 7 a.m. or 7:30 a.m. and the students sitting outside the school, which hopefully they're not doing that anymore, but when I was teaching, they certainly were. And from like 6:45 or so until the doors opened at 7:45, I never thought that was a secure idea, a safe idea, but I don't know any way around it. I know it's an issue, but I still am concerned about students being dropped off and sitting under a roof by themselves.
Yeah, our school administrators are there before that time, for sure, and they look out for those individual situations, I know they do, but there are some, there have been those individual cases, I agree, that, families do drop them off very early, in that case.
You know, those families could let the principals know that the kids need to be there earlier, maybe they can work something out, because some of the factories start at 7
Yeah,
o'clock.
I would say though, and I would say in defense of our principals, you know, we there's no way we can meet every single need. I understand exactly what you're saying, but, you know, there are other cases where kids may stay till 5 o'clock in the afternoon sometimes, and, you know, we can't necessarily guarantee that we're gonna run a service that can hit every pickup at every time for that. I know when, I think it was Ms. Shelton that was here last time, I think you had a question about that, and I think, and I may be misspoken here, I think she said she hasn't seen much of that this year. So hopefully that's a sign for what we're seeing in our.
Yeah, hopefully there's not as much as there used to be, but
Right.
it used to be an issue.
Right. We do have, of course, the Y Care for the after-school programs if people need that elementary. But I understand what you're saying.
I think a lot of employers are very aware that, you know, that's when school starts, and, you know, you have a parent that has some children that, that parent needs to be able to get their child to school before they.
Right. Peyton Southeastern are not gonna change 500 people coming in at 7 o'clock for 3 students at E.O. Ross.
Right.
So I know, I don't think there is a real answer to that. It's just a little concerning.
Yeah, we do provide bus transportation for any one zone to that school, so that is always an option for those families that need that to make sure they get dropped off when there's appropriate supervision there at the school too.
Yeah.
I liked what I read about students going to the classrooms instead of going to the gym or
Yes.
the auditorium.
Yeah.
I think that's great. It's an opportunity to do some work in their classrooms
Right.
or bond with their teacher some more or other friends, and it's a smaller group.
And that did come from a recommendation from our principal team, that they have noticed that has been a positive aspect of our new plan this year amongst COVID, is our teachers have been available in the classroom, so students go directly there instead of large congregation in the gym or cafeteria. And so many of them would like to continue doing that in their schools.
You know, I think there's little children that don't like going into those big groups at the beginning of the day, first thing. You know, you're a little first grader, second grader, you gotta go into the auditorium with all those big kids that are 4th, 5th graders. And that's kind of scary, especially at the start of school.
Yes.
So I think that's something to be said about them having some ownership of just their own classroom and going in there with their peers in their classroom. Instead of that big giant group.
For autumn in the middle school, it really helps on a Monday morning, lots of times, somebody's on Facebook challenging somebody. If you get them all together as a group, that's when you're gonna have a difference of opinion. Question I got, why did we go from 7:50 last year to, you know, I mean, we went to 7:50, then we went 7:30 to 2:30. I like those times, why did we go to 7:30 last year?
A lot of it hinged on the middle school because we needed to stagger some of at the dismissal side of that at the middle school this year, because that was the largest group out of all the schools that we have transportation and car riders. And so at the end of the day, our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, we had to stagger some dismissal times for 6th grade. And so it influenced when we were dismissing, it influenced what time the buses came to the middle and the high school on the front end of the day. And so the buses were getting there at 7:30. So it was influenced a little bit about a staggered case between 7:50 and 7:30, the way the buses were arriving at the middle and high school. But this next year, with the proposal being 7-hour day for everybody, we can get back to being on a unified schedule for middle school and high school.
Well, they had to take temperatures when those students got
That was
off.
part of that too.
Temperatures and disinfecting between, it just took a whole while.
So Jeff, I know this is purely a guess, I guess, but what percentage of our student population would you say is bus riding?
Oh, wow.
We have Mr. Taylor's outside.
40%.
40%.
Yes.
So fairly significant number.
Yeah. All right. And then the,
Jeff, let me ask
Yes.
a question. I know we've talked about this several years ago.
But there's, in the last year or two, I've read a lot about, and research done about the high school and middle school, but older students going later and the younger students going early. Have we thought anything about that, or?
Well, I can tell you from my own experience, and this is just my opinion from what I experienced in Shelby County schools, we were a 9 to 4 school. And some loved it and some hated it. The same thing you're gonna find for 7:45 to 2:45, some loved it and some hated it. The problem we ran into mostly was in the afternoon hours, students that used to go to work were finding it very difficult to find employment. And for students that had after-school activities for theater or band or athletics, you were running way into the evening. So they were still at 6 o'clock in the morning because the practices got moved to the morning. And they were still coming at 6:30 and 7 o'clock in the morning. So it was just a flip-flop of that, and they eventually redid that schedule. So I can tell you the school district where I came from is now running a schedule, I think, fairly close to this after running they ran a fairly lengthy study into start times and ended up moving it by, I think, 5 to 10 minutes. And this is pretty much what they came up with too. So that's something that's one of those controversial things that school systems all look at, and we continue to read the science on it too. But I think we do have a fairly good schedule with where we are, subject to change down the road, of course.
And the thing about band practice, you go to school at 4 and then you start band practice at 4:30 and then you're gonna be there till 7 or 8. And then or football practice or soccer.
I just
The rest of them are practice.
This past year, there's been a lot of
And then we got little kids coming
TV
in afterwards.
programs and talk shows and
Oh, yeah.
research. And
In a perfect world, the teenager can wake up at 8 o'clock, be at school at 9, go home at 4, right? But we know that's not how that works, because siblings go to school earlier, or they have to all get up, or the working thing you're talking about, mom and dad gotta go to work, and they've gotta get their child to school, all those things.
Well, and you think about the internships too that our students are doing for high school, they may need to be at work at 8 o'clock for the internship and then come to school. So there's a lot of different factors that come in.
Jeff, you and the
No
task
easy
force
answers.
and Dr. Dyer, and if you haven't read Dr. Dyer's article Sunday, you need to read that. It's really good. I hope our teachers have. Cindy Garen's not here. Have they got their checks yet, bonus checks, or?
That's coming, do we know the date?
Maybe 20th.
Okay, it's gonna come May 10th or 20th, one of those. I think they're still finalizing some details on that, but that's coming very soon.
I thought your article was really good. I hope that a lot of teachers read it, because the board knows what they've been through this year, administrators, everybody. It's just tough year.
Yeah.
So, are you finished with this?
Got one more section.
Okay. Because I know we got to vote, and I want to be
Yes,
sure
yes.
we're all.
All right, so the last section is regarding virtual school of Cleveland. And we talked about this at our last task force and talked about it throughout the year of how things are going. A couple of weeks ago, we put out there on video on social media and sent out to all our virtual school families this year for interest to apply to enroll. And as of this morning, these were our numbers. Elementary, we were at 12 who have applied. Middle school, 14 showing interest, and 24 at the high school level. We are asking to extend that deadline another week to May 10th so we can evaluate our numbers and determine where the best place to have virtual school Cleveland for next year, or if the numbers warrant to be able to have the staffing for this instead of using them in an in-person setting. So our numbers are lower than what we anticipated. So we're going to really monitor that over the next couple of weeks and make some critical decisions on at what level and which levels, if all levels or no levels, to offer this. Our intention going into this was focused on 4th through 12th grade, really focused on that in-person K-3 for sure. However, as you see in these numbers, I'm hoping this is a good indication that many of our students will be back in person. We'd love to see them all face-to-face next year. So we're going to continue to monitor that. But with all that to say, the last piece of that is that this year we are required to, by the state of Tennessee, to apply for a separate school number to run a virtual school of Cleveland. This year we did not have to do that. We did it under the umbrella of each of our elementary, middle, and high school because of the learning plan and the COVID situation at hand. So when you apply for a separate school number, you send in the paperwork before June 1st each year. So we would still propose to go ahead and apply for that separate school number, Virtual School of Cleveland. It would be a proposal to go to a K-12 school. It would be one school and focused on no more than 250 students. That's an average of about 25 to 30, keeping in BEP numbers, classroom size at each grade level from 4th through 12th grade. With that, we would have that application. It will be set with these numbers. That would definitely take care of that. But then we would still have that number. If we decide later we don't have enough number of students enrolled, we would still have that school separate number for when we do decide to move forward with the open, the upstart of a full virtual school moving forward in years to come. Cody, if you'll move to the next slide, there are a couple of things that we have to consider, and would like to share this out with you guys tonight. And when we do apply for that, we have to assure these things and to let you know about tonight. We have to apply for the school number by June 1st. Our instructional resources that we use will be the ones that we've adopted here in our system, such as Amplify, that you guys, the reading adoption in CKLA that you adopted last year, we purchased, along with the Math Curriculum Associates and Illustrative Math at the secondary level, Pearson products at the high school level. Those are the products that we would use. Our teachers would help us create and embed that into the Canvas learning management system.
So, which means we would no longer be using Florida Virtual School curriculum. We'll be using our own curriculum, just like a student in a classroom setting.
Right. Technology devices, now that we are K-12 one-to-one, we do have those to be able to equitably deploy those out to our virtual students as well. So that is the intent, to provide the same device so that as teachers who are teaching our virtual students their work, as they help and coach the students on how to use their device, they're using the same device and common resources. 58 courses is what we're looking at offering, from the 25 to 30 courses at the high school to the middle school courses, the core courses, and then the core courses at the elementary level. It's at least a 6.5 hour day of instruction that would be scheduled out, and lessons that would be given with teacher contact that needs to be happening every day through the Virtual School of Cleveland. Attendance would be checked daily through an online attendance form, and then we would follow, obviously, state truancy policies. So if students weren't attending online and doing the work they're supposed to be doing, they would follow the same tier approach that we used for attendance in an in-person situation. Again, we have an application to enroll until May 10th. Licensed certified teachers, of course, we would guarantee that they would be matched up in the appropriate place like they are in person. And evaluations would take place on these teachers, just like they're on any other teacher in our system. And the one piece to make sure people would understand is graduation. This is a separate school, so there would be a separate graduation. It would not be, so when any student graduating for the Virtual School of Cleveland would not receive a Cleveland High School diploma, because it is a separate school. And they would receive a Virtual School of Cleveland diploma. So those are the big decisions and updates when you apply for a separate school that would have to take place. And we just need to assure that that's the goal, and that is our intent. And we've worked with our Blake facilitators, our instructional supervisory team, and Dr. Raper's staff to pull all this together, and we're prepared to apply for a separate school as we move into later in May before June 1st. Now, those are the updates.
So you're saying that virtual school would be asynchronous?
It would be a blend. There would be half synchronous. There would be some face-to-face time, availability, office time, because it would be one-to-one teacher time, and there would be asynchronous classwork that would be assigned to the learning management system, Canvas, in that regard. So it's going to be a blend.
So that's not 6.5 hours of teacher contact?
No,
It's 6.5 hours
of
with some.
With some teacher contact, yes. Because the way the Tennessee rules and regulations read, as far as it's either verbal, oral, which is the same, or visual contact each day to prove attendance has been taken in virtual school each day. So there's some options. Yes.
Okay,
I don't know how this is related. Have we learned a new way to do for homebound students? For example, could we video the class instead of having a teacher come in that's really not familiar with the subject?
That is something we have talked about for a few years now, and now that we have gone through this year, I think we have the tools and resources that we can build those homebound courses similar, because once those courses are built, like we said, in Canvas, then a lot of those resources will spill over and be accessible for our homebound students as well.
Because if you have foreign language, it's hard for a homebound teacher to teach a foreign language, but if they could watch the class itself, that'd be wonderful.
The one problem we'll run into right now is the state board has not approved the ability to do that for next year. This year is working under emergency rules. You have to remember that. This year's emergency rules.
Yeah.
Future years, the only way we could do what we've done this year is if the governor declares a statewide emergency. And we're not under that at this point.
Well,
So-
that would be a good way to do homebound. What do you have to do to get that approved by the state?
The State Board of Education has to approve it.
And who has to?
And right
apply?
now, even for next year, for a student who may be quarantined, we could not do what we've done this year.
Oh.
We'd have to come up with a whole different system. Now, there's a lot of talk about that may be changed, but it's gonna require change. So that's not something we can just do. That requires State Board of Education approval to move that.
Who do we have to apply to do that?
Well, you can't apply.
You can't ask.
No,
for it to
the
be
rules have
considered?
to be changed at the state level. There's nothing to apply to at this point. You have to actually get that change, is my understanding.
You can go protest.
so if you know anybody on the state board, call them up.
Yeah,
and-
yeah. I
So
think
that would be a
we should do
state
that.
board approval thing.
Yeah, I think as a school board, we ought to do that because it would be so helpful for our students, like this quarantine.
Yeah.
That would have been so helpful.
Well, I know that organizations like TOS and TSBA, they're aware of the issue, and
That would be
I've
a
talked
good
to the commissioner's office about it myself, so.
And I will say, just another chance to brag on our teachers, the ones, when our students have been quarantined, for them to
Yes.
teach in front of the computer.
They've done
while
an
they're
amazing job.
teaching. A group of students as well. It's been amazing.
That's
I've been in a few of those classrooms, and it's just spectacular to see the flexibility that those
Yeah.
teachers have shown throughout the year. And just hats off to all our teachers, Teacher Appreciation Week, but yeah, definitely for sure this year.
Jeff, if someone graduates from BSC, is that gonna be UTC or Tennessee Tech? They're gonna accept an okay and everything?
Yes, because the courses will articulate, because they will be driven by the same course content that in-person course is.
So May 10th is, if you approve that, will be the new deadline, and we'll know then. I can tell you, when May 10th at 4:30 PM, we'll know we have enough students for grade spans to actually make this happen. I personally would be fine if we don't have the numbers and everyone is coming back to our buildings, but we want to make sure we provide an option, and we may see the numbers rise over the next week. So it's one of those things we can wait and see and then make a determination. But we do need that okay to move ahead with the school number, because we don't have another board meeting between now and June 1st.
So Dr. Dyer, you have a recommendation in all of this for us?
Yeah, I think the way I would word it is, my recommendation would be to approve the updated COVID guidelines that were outlined tonight, including the start times, as well as the approval of the virtual school of Cleveland applying for a school number.
All right, there's the recommendation. Would somebody like to make a motion?
So moved.
Okay, Charlie, second. Peggy. Now, questions or comments for Dr. Dyer or Dr. Elliott? I think they did a great job going over all this, and I appreciate the material ahead of time. It was a good read. Okay, well, all those in favor say aye. Aye. It's unanimous. Thank you.
I appreciate that. I'll just say when Dr. Elliott's here, I appreciate his leadership on the COVID task force this year. This has been a major undertaking. I think we're winding down, hopefully, the need for the task force moving forward. It may just be ad hoc or whatever we want to call it from this point on when we get to the end of the school year. So thank you.
You say
Already
Dr.
worked
Elliott's
with
not
that.
gonna have anything to do now?
Oh, no, there's plenty to work on, so there's plenty to do, but it's been a good year.
I don't know how you squeezed everything in there, Jeff.
Well, we've made it so
Great
far,
job.
so thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, our student representative updates, Tyler.
So I'm just gonna take the quick opportunity to brag on our senior class a little bit. my senior class because graduation season is finally upon us. So a lot of the seniors this past month have been slowly committing to their post-secondary plans. May 1st, it was National Decision Day, so that was fun. And I really quickly want to give a quick list of some of the colleges that some of our seniors will be attending. So University of Tennessee for one, all 3 campuses, Knoxville, Chattanooga, and Martin. MTSU is a very popular choice among our senior class, which is amazing. ETSU, Lee University, Tennessee Tech, Vanderbilt, Emory, West Point, Johns Hopkins, and I'm proud to announce that I committed to Northwestern University.
Oh, good. Congratulations.
As a start to our whole graduation season, we did the Graduates of Distinction ceremony. I saw a lot of y'all there. It went extremely well. We honored each of us, there was 30 this year, we each honored a teacher that made an impact in our lives. And I believe that's a very great ceremony. Those of you who were there knew that I got a little bit emotional, but that's okay. So cap and gowns were distributed, which really was the start of our graduation, like actual ceremony piece of it. And so many banquets have been going on. The CTE banquet was a large part of the school, so happening sports banquets, a lot of those have been going on. Also, our graduation speech preparation has kind of put things into perspective. There's 4 this year: Anna Ingram, Truman Hale, Abdiel Medina, and myself. And I can speak as of right now, these 4 and Miss Spears are really the only ones who've heard all four speeches so far. And I believe that we have a very diverse group and very many great speeches planned, so I'm excited for y'all to hear those. Prom went underway, and it was just a fun time overall for many of the students involved. A lot of people were dancing. I was surprised to see that many people dancing. Haven't been to middle school dances, and everyone's just standing around. And this year we actually have about 10 TVET kids graduating, and that's, as I'm sure you guys know, they'll be graduating with their associate's degree on top of their diploma. We have 10 seniors graduating through that program this year. Also, as mentioned earlier, AP exams are underway, and it's a large, I'd like to brag on a teacher real quick about this. Mr. Miles, I've mentioned him before. He's the calculus teacher who I said was fun earlier in the year. We took a practice AP exam with him, and he actually bought pizza for all of us as a kind of little morale booster, which is part of what I wanted to mention with the school year ending. Senioritis is probably plaguing a lot of seniors, but the school is absolutely doing a fantastic job kind of keeping the morale up, planning the senior night, senior parties, of course prom, of course practice exams, and wonderful teachers like Mr. Miles. So outside of our graduating class, I mentioned our Science Olympiad state tournament last month, and forensics, which is one of the 21 events that we usually compete in, got 4th in the entire state, which is amazing, out of 26 schools that qualified and over 60 who competed overall. A junior by the name of Rishi Soni actually got invited to an international conference as well as a national conference for his science project that he presented at the Chattanooga Science Fair. So he gets a scholarship, and he also gets invited to Washington, D.C. to present his research there as well. We had 4 records broken for the school, as well as personal bests achieved at a recent track meet. We had 3 school records beaten at a recent swim meet. And on top of that, SGA president and vice president elections are coming up for the upcoming senior class, the graduating class of 2022. And those are Leah and Aaliyah, Ryan and Rishi, those same Rishi I mentioned earlier, and Paige and Stephanie. So kind of as a last goodbye, because as of right now I won't be able to attend the June meeting, I'd like to just say that I've learned a lot while I was here. Thank you so much for having me. I wish it was a better year for me to attend these meetings. But I really appreciated it. I definitely learned a lot. I appreciated being able to tell my classmates what was going on whenever they had questions. So yeah, that's my update.
Very good, Skylar. Well, I think we have something for Skylar, don't we?
We absolutely do, so I'm gonna get up and walk over here for a
I
second.
may get Skylar, but you walk over there with
Yeah.
Dr. please.
So part of what we do every year is recognize our student liaison at the end of the year. And I don't even know if you knew this was coming or not, but you get some things for working with all of us this year as well. And that includes a certificate of appreciation that you can take and frame and add to your many other recognitions I'm sure that you're getting. You also get your own. I'm sure you have a lot of these that are racking up too that you can wear at graduation, your ribbon here.
Oh, thank you.
On top of that though, you get paid.
Oh, fun.
You get a check. And this is for coming to work. You come to work and work at our school board meetings and provide input and update us all about the great things happening at the high school with the student body. And we appreciate everything you've done and wish
Thank
you
you
the
so
absolute
much.
best. You've done a great job this year, and I know that you're gonna do well in Northwestern as well.
Thank you so
Showing how
much.
it's done in a great way.
Skylar, I want to
Yeah,
say,
how about
I've
we do that?
enjoyed how you've injected yourself into your reports, and we've learned a lot about you and your personality, and we think you're going to be very successful moving forward. And any other board members want to chime in, please do.
I just enjoy sitting beside her. She's done a fantastic job.
Thank you.
It's
I'll
Up
definitely,
here, good job.
I'll definitely come back home, don't worry.
Definitely, we'd love to see you.
Well, maybe you'll be sitting on this board one day, and sooner than you think, maybe, but, you know, time goes fast, but the older you get, the faster it goes. So thank you for your service for us, and we will miss you in June, but we understand that you have to move on with your life, and, we're thankful for the time that we got with you.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's in Chicago.
Evanston, I
Yeah.
stayed there one day. Beautiful campus,
Yeah.
Northwestern.
Oh, yeah, most definitely, right by Lake Michigan.
What are you gonna major in, Skylar?
I'm doing an interdisciplinary study between biology and chemistry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Charlie, side committee.
Well, we got two, Brian will come in next, but first we got Coach Joey Knox. And he's gonna talk about changing the entrance to the Jones Center.
Heard him before. Let's see.
Been here a couple of times.
Yeah. First off, thank y'all for having me in tonight. I know it was a little bit of short notice. It's like, it doesn't usually happen tonight, but making this accommodation for me means a lot. First off, I would like to just say that the Jones Wrestling Building is the top-notch, best wrestling building in the state of Tennessee. Probably one of the best ones in the country for a high school wrestling program. It was built back in 2001. The building's 21 years old. Obviously, with anything that becomes with age, if you're not staying on top of it, then it's going to, one day you're gonna wake up and it's gonna be
Old.
looking like me. So every year we try to make some kind of improvement. That way we don't get too far behind and there's no drastic drain on, taxpayer money or anything like that. Every year since we've been here, or since I've been here, well, not every year, but since in the last 6 years, we've made 4 improvements, and then we added a coach's office with Sir Brian's help. We've added a weight room, brand new racks to the weight room to make it look like a top-notch college level weight room. And we've done a lot of work. We've painted. We've done a lot of work every year, and we're pretty proud of our building. Obviously, we're proud of the accomplishment our guys have, and that's why I think that we need to do a little justice to our trophy case room. That and we've run out of room. There's no more room in the trophy cases for the trophies that we have. And And when you walk in, if you look up on top of the trophy case, there are regional championships and district championships that nobody can see.
Yeah, it's just stacked on top of each
It's
other.
just stacked on top of each other, and it's getting to the point where we're gonna have to take, state runner-up trophies and move them somewhere else, and it's just gonna become another pile. We don't want that to happen. Obviously, this program was built on the hard work from our alumni. We're very proud of that. We're very proud of that. We didn't just start off as a state championship program. There was a lot of hard work and a lot of people that put in time into this program that deserve to be honored. And obviously in our rendering here, as you can see, some things we'd like to do. All of our state champions are posted with some of the stats. You may have seen some things like this at the University of Ohio State, and a lot of top-notch football programs have done some things where they post their stats on the wall, and some of the young men that are pictured here as state champions, some of their stats, like Chris Devian, went to wrestle at UTC. Some of those stats are posted on the wall. What we'd also like to do is to add a TV over to the left side that's interactive, so that we can take those region championships, those district championships there literally is no room in the building for them. It is to make it interactive so that when somebody walks in and say, I wrestled in 1982, they can walk up and they can hit 1982, and I'll have a picture of the team. I have a picture of every tournament they won, every trophy they received. It's like, oh, my brother wrestled in 1986 when I was born. Click 1986 and say, there's my brother's name. He was on the team, and it would bring some atmosphere to the entrance of the wrestling building. Obviously, we have raised the funds. Right now, currently, our estimation is around $8,000 to have all this done. We are right now at $6,000, all donated. When we came up with those estimates, some of this we were gonna have to get subbed out, but as you know, our alumni are amazing. We've got general contractors that had volunteered work hours to come in and do this with your permission, to do all the labor involved. All we would have to do is supply the materials. In the picture, we have carpet pictured down. I don't know, I was speaking with Hal. He's been in and looked at what we've done. I don't know that we're gonna go with carpet, but we've got a company that's local that's gonna donate all the flooring to be redone. So the cost of this is literally gonna be materials only, which we're very fortunate of. So I think we're actually probably would have enough right now to go ahead and do this with your permission. And that's what I'm here to propose. If anybody has any questions, no structural anything, if you have any questions about that, feel free to ask.
Is that Bill Jones on the podium there? I mean, is that?
Yeah, that's the exact plaque that's already there. We would just be taking it off the trophy case and putting it on a stand.
And on the right, is that just state championships on the right?
That's not all of them, but yes.
I think
So all the state championships from the previous years would be on there, and the two in the center would be
the most current
ones.
I like it.
So this doesn't change any of the outside of the building, this is just on the
There's
current
no
entry.
structural integrity to be done to it. It would be taking off, for instance, that cabinet that you see there. There's that whole front wall or center wall is covered in cabinets. We'd be taking those cabinets off.
Okay.
It's on the second set of glass doors, and that's where it is, the second set.
So it's on the inside of the building. Putting down sheetrock so that the logos or I don't know how to explain the wrap material that Brian Scoggins does for everything in our school building. It allows him to be able to do some graphics so that it'll have a smooth finish, instead of being over the concrete. I've already talked with Hal about the flooring. He's gonna provide the labor to be able to remove that if we have the flooring donated.
Coach Knox, when are you gonna do all this work? Right now, right away?
As soon as we can get approved.
Last year, I got a few phone calls, maybe 6, from different baseball players. And their concerns were the condition of the bathrooms and the dressing rooms in there. Maybe those have been corrected since then. My suggestion to them was to approach their coach and for him to get with Hal and discuss this, and then if, it deemed any attention, to bring it to us. I never heard any more from them at that point, but let me encourage you, if there's any issues with the building that we can help with, we don't know about it unless you tell us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and like I said, every year we're trying to improve it. Obviously, the building's 20 years old, and there are some things that need some attention, but like everything in our school system, we don't want to bite too much off at one time. We'd love to just gradually make it better. And I take pride in our building. I can tell you from the day that I took the first job that I would say that the building has improved dramatically. So, sometimes it's a little lipstick on the wall, or it's the same lipstick on the pig or whatever to make it look nice, but we are constantly making sure that we're updating and keeping the pride of Cleveland. So.
Let me tell you a little bit about the history of that. Some of you, but what is now the baseball building was a wrestling building. So we could not put batting cages up for baseball or softball till they were done in February 1st of March. So once we got in, and the wrestling team was practicing a lot in the old dome. So when and I was there when it got built, the Jones building, it really helped everything, helped tremendously what you've done. And then the girls softball and baseball, because I told the baseball coaches, girls softball had to be able to hit in there too. So all this was in one building to start with. Now it's where it is.
Except for
Funny story about
we
that.
lost our tennis courts though.
Yeah, it was built on the tennis courts. But now the tennis courts have like 4-inch cracks in them.
Funny story about that though. One of our alumni, B.R. Blair's son wrestled, Joe Blair, here at Cleveland, and he told me that what is now the baseball building, he says, I remember, the parents laying the block for that building, and that's we like having the kids be involved because it really shows some ownership, and it helps us to have our kids in the community.
I remember the football team helping to lay the sod at the Benny Road Stadium on Raider Field there one year. Benny had them out there laying sod on summer long. They're gonna take care of that field, yeah.
The only question I got on the inside, and Brian's my neighbor, so I know how good he is. You're going to have to change that every year because the number's going to change.
We've talked about that, and the numbers.
All Americans are all
having maybe some kind of like, with our CTE, the engineering department, having metal cutouts and posts put in so that if we win another state team title, we can dismount that number, put it in a stack and remount and mount a new one.
Yeah.
So that way we'll be able to.
Change your numbers on it.
Yeah.
By the way it's laid out, maybe you can do it just as a strip, because those are
Yeah.
the wraps that they are, the little sections aren't a lot. It's just if you do an entire room, it might cost a little bit more, but if you did just sections of it where it had the numbers that you could update it each year.
So we need a motion, board members, and this is a voting item.
I'll make it, since we didn't come to the site committee, and House Surprise University, I think it's great, Julie. I'd like to make a motion, we approve this for the wrestling program and get started tomorrow if you can. What's your second time?
Second by Nate.
What's our time frame? How long do we think it'll
Get it done
take?
by next year?
I think we can probably get it done 3 weeks.
All right.
Come by this summer.
Make a motion, make a second.
Seconded, any other comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous.
So we're gonna get a tour when it's over?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea.
And Hal and Brian out there?
Thank you for getting all that together.
Good job, Joe.
Well, thank y'all for making an exception and letting me come in today. So.
All right. Ending report, ready to talk about the
It's a big deal.
All right. Well,
Thanks, Coach.
We have, we've concluded our evaluation, the first part of what we talked about doing, where we brought our team members in and we looked at the building. I think you guys have seen the report that we generated that kind of identifies all the things we looked at, what we saw. I'm gonna jump to the summary. If you have questions, I'll be glad to answer them, anything specific, but I guess as a whole, the building is in sound condition. We vetted out and looked at some of the concerns and then brought our engineers in and looked for potential issues. But I report back to you that, this building is what you would expect it to be for the age that it is. But the bones are sound. There's no pitfalls that we see that should concern you as far as investing future monies in the building. There's some obvious maintenance, which I think, Hal had prepared you that needed to occur, and that should. But as far as looking at the building for other uses, I think that is a wise decision. We've learned the building through this process, and it probably was more utilized at points of time, not so much. I mean, there's stuff there, but there is some vacant areas that could be repurposed and reused. So one thing that I would like to point out is that in today's current economy, to replace this building for, we're estimating if we were able to acquire and successfully get access to the upper levels, that, you're looking at $9-10 million to build this kind of volume and this type of construction in today's dollars. So to put that in perspective, I think you could have a sound, refurbished, new look to the building, with new layout to suit your needs for half that. So I thought that was important to kind of give you guys, so as you make decisions towards the future, you can see that you have some value in the building itself. So with that said, does anybody have any specific questions, concerns about what we identified in our evaluation?
It's very interesting and good pictures and goodness gracious, you looked at a lot. When you at the end gave that expense analysis kind of compared to new construction, would that be if you just build it back exactly like it is right now?
Not that, well, it was mainly like we just looked at current ballpark per square foot
Right,
cost.
but I'm thinking of the locker rooms, how, we wouldn't want those kind of locker rooms anymore, those kind of things.
Yeah.
It would depend on what we designed, I guess.
Correct, yeah.
But, so that estimate is based on kind of overhauling those things?
Yeah, it would include the things that we said, were issues, but if you were to go out and build 24,000 square feet of new construction in masonry, steel, non-wood, heavy commercial, like commercial products with long spans like you have in the gym, you would be looking at $300 a square foot. That's where we are today. It's crazy.
It's continuing to go up
It
every day.
is, yes. So I thought that it would be relevant just to kind of see that as you look at the building and look at, right now there's roughly 20,000 square feet on the lower level. There's some additional area and opportunity on the upper level in the locker room space. It's not as accessible, but it could be made to be more accessible. The potential for doing for adding another level over part of the gym would exist. The potential for doing another level in parts of the old racquetball court exists. So I could see you adding some additional square footage, so your building here is 7,000 square feet, and you're looking at the potential of 25 to 30 there.
Right.
So that estimate didn't include the second floor, right? It didn't include touching the second floor. It just included like the things you named would need to be addressed for safety and.
The roughly $500,000, yes, it would include re-roofing, dealing with the structural concerns of the rusting of the roof deck. The electrical engineer identified that the electrical, the distribution system itself is antiquated, and to do anything with that would require complete redo. So there's value in that. And then there was some pool maintenance too that we put in there. So to continue to use it as you currently are and deal with the very obvious issues that you probably should if you want to keep it operational, we're saying roughly $500,000 to do just that. And then what I did, like if you were going to say roughly, 150 plus or minus square feet or per square feet over the area of the building, you're looking at a half savings over what it would cost you to build that today, brand new. So, I think just looking at it, and there's a lot of potential. You got some good volume of space, and I think that if we continue forward as we planned with programming, okay, what would other potential use be? And looking at it, what our goal was to be able to come back and show you, okay, here's how we could reuse this space. And we have the building, and you probably noticed in the study, we've built a massing model. So that will help us to be able to show some three-dimensional views and vignettes of the new spaces. So that would be where we are, would be to take that next step and to meet with Dr. Dyer and his staff and to talk about what could go in the building, and then generate some ideas to share, see how it all would fit.
Did your cost estimate include an elevator to go up to the second floor?
Yeah. Yes.
I think it's vital we figure out what we need it for.
Yeah.
And then decide, along then what the cost would be to make it
Yeah.
meet those needs.
My estimate was just it's really just, hey, if you were to go and touch this and put new floors in, take walls out, even reskin the building, re-roof the building to give it, reskin the building to give it a uniform look. To deal with window replacement, we found some windows that were single pane that, should be replaced, and, things like that. You would essentially be touching the whole building to create uniformity throughout.
Yeah, I think that building has a lot of potential. We have looked at that a lot, and we talked on Friday some about that, and kind of walked around and kind of looked and kind of just did some draft thinking about it. It's got a lot of potential there. A lot of things we could do, be really creative, and then think about this building. There's some good ideas that are starting to float about, but we really need to get into that second part of the study, I think, now. And that would be my recommendation, is that we move forward so that Brian and his team can work with our team to bring back a more developed draft plan for you guys to consider.
John and I was talking about the area behind the building too. You got the point, you have a lot of employees down there. You put some parking behind it too. It's
There's a lot of potential back there. There's room for extra parking. There's room for, I'm just gonna throw it out there, we could build that tennis court you were talking about. There's room and space back there to do some of that. These are all just draft things to think through, but there's room to do some pretty creative things.
You need a better warmer room.
Just for clarification's sake, we don't have any emergency items that we need to address, right?
Well, through the use of COVID money, the money that's coming in, we're doing a lot of things right now that we have been on that wish list for a long time, so how do you want?
Specific to the building?
Yeah, we
Oh,
actually,
okay.
we do have some, the roof has gone without until we did this facility study. And that roof is in pretty bad shape. The longer we go without fixing the roof, the worse it gets. So that is an issue that we do need to address at some point here. No matter what we do inside the building, that exterior roof on top has to be addressed. So that is a concern, and one way or the other, we're going to have to do something with it. But we were trying to see exactly if the joists had to be replaced or not. Now the engineer has determined they don't have to be. So it does give us somewhere to move forward.
Yeah, I don't know if that made sense. There was a lot of structural engineering talk in that. But basically, the rusting that had been noticed was localized. So we got up there and we looked and we got up into the volume above the locker room ceiling, and we were able to see that it was just isolated to the spaces where the air from the pool was being moved into the units. So, we don't have the level of concern of major structural redo to be able to make it right. It's manageable. The engineer estimated roughly anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 in cost. We just have to take some roof deck out, sandblast the structure that's there, and repaint it. So it's marginal to what it could have been if it was to take the structure off and redo.
So we don't need to deal with that tonight? They're gonna cover that in the regular budget?
Yeah, we'll bring that back to.
And asbestos was not as bad as we thought it was gonna be, was it?
There's been an initial walkthrough on the asbestos. I don't think that it's anything that should deter you from looking at how to reuse it. There probably will be some asbestos in pipe insulation, that should be expected, but again, that's not a huge expense to have to deal with, so.
So what do we need tonight? Anything from the board, or you just?
Well, the recommendation would be just to approve, I think.
You've already approved the
So
second
you're okay
part.
with it, we don't need another
We just wanted
vote.
to
It's
update you and make sure you're good with us continuing to move forward with doing the evaluation and now recommending to you use of the building.
Initially, we didn't want to pair it all together because we could have got to this point and said, hey, listen, time out. We don't really.
Call bulldozers.
Yeah, we really don't need to go here, but he's just kind of telling you that, it's worth looking into.
We've heard that report on the dome, remember that one? Calling bulldozers, that was a very sad night.
Painful.
It was painful, yeah. Okay, well, good, thank you, Brian, we appreciate it, and we appreciate you sticking around at the end of the meeting and giving it to us, but it was a great report.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
In the page and feature, can we put on actually changes or updated?
We can put in, yes,
This, why don't we do that, Brian, would you be all right?
What's that?
If you're here again, when director's updating, you be the next thing.
we'll try to keep you, get you moved up to the top.
He's got boys playing baseball, probably, don't you?
We're off tonight, but yeah, I appreciate the gesture, thank you.
Oh, so lucky you get to come to school. Okay, Dr. Dyer, is there anything else?
There's not. That's
Okay,
it.
so is the June 3rd meeting, it could be our June, July meeting, it'll be noon on June 3rd, Thursday. Everybody put that on your calendars, Julie, you got that? Is there something else we want to,
I got a question.
For the graduation, are we going to wear our caps and gowns?
yes, we are caps and gowns, and Ms. O'Brien's gonna tell us what to do.
Okay, so, we are, going to be marching. We're gonna have the students meet us in Raider Arena because we need a big space for them to be able to spread out. But our faculty are gonna meet in the Jones Wrestling Center at 5:30. So you guys can park in the Jones Wrestling Center, and then go into the, Jones Wrestling Center and just wait there. We will bring, Dr. Dyer is going to be in there as well, and assistant principals will be in the Jones Wrestling Center. I will be with the students in the arena. I'll walk them down we'll have a pretty nice long line. And then the school board, Dr. Dyer and I, and then the school board and teachers, and then the students come from there. So when we walk in, you guys are going to sit on the same side as last year. So the students will split, and that split will be what direction they're going on the field, but the school board will both go, because we usually go 2 lines. So you'll just all file towards the home side. And then those football medal stands will be there. If you have a cushion and you want us to put a cushion out ahead of time, we'll look and see if we can find some cushions, because they're pretty hard metal chairs. But the school board and Dr. Dyer will sit on that side, and the admin team, the 5 assistant principals and myself will sit on the other side. So we'll face each other. It's gonna be the same as last year, as far as students will walk across the field one side, and then when that side's done, Dr. Dyer will kind of turn and we'll face the other way. A little different than last year, we will not have a stage or a backdrop. It just was falling with outside, and it just was a distraction. So we're just gonna have a podium set up at the 50. So they'll be talking to one side or the other, but we feel like it'll be okay that way. So there won't be a way to direct your eyes. It'll be on one side or the other. And students will meet Dr. Dyer, the C, and he will present the diploma. We're not going to do handshakes, but we are going to present the diploma. So students will have their diploma presented to them on the C, which is a really, really cool feature. So we're just going to do all of our prayer rain dances so we can do this outside. And we're looking forward to a great.
Can you update just real quickly about Senior Awards Night? It's going to be at
Yes,
Peerless
so
Road.
Senior Awards Night has been moved to Peerless Road Church, and that is they are actually one of our premier sponsors, and they're our evacuation site as well. So we do a lot of work with them. So it is going to be it's Thursday night. It is at 6:30. And we are asking the graduates to be there at 6. And so that is the night that we recognize Raider scholars, department winners, and all of our community scholarships. And we've actually had some added this year, which we're really excited about, some alumni scholarships that came forward over the past school year. But we've got several scholarships that are going to be handed out that night. But it's a great night to recognize our senior class. They get their final pins for Raider Scholar and their stoles and all of those pieces. So that will be on Thursday night, and back Friday during the day from 10:30 to 12:30. We are hosting our academic signing day, and so that is where we gather all of our students who have signed academic scholarships, and their parents are going to be available to be there and get pictures taken, similar to our athletic signings. We do an academic signing day. And then we gather our groups and pictures. If they're going to UT, we gather the group that's going to UT, and we figure out where our students are going. And our senior gift this year is pretty neat. They're doing a mural. It's going to be, but we're doing it on the signs that we do that normally have images on them, but it's in the shape of a mask. And so they're going to put their handprint on the shape of a mask. So the class of 2021 that represents them. So we're going to do that day. And then they will go to for the senior walk. And so we have several students, I think about just over, I think it's around 200 students that have signed up to do the senior walk. Obviously Cleveland Middle School being the most popular to go. And then Candies Creek actually, which doesn't have any graduates who went there, but they have students or teachers there that they want to see. So even Candies Creek has people that are going. So we're really glad to be able to offer that to our seniors. Baccalaureate is Sunday. And then our Powder Puff game is going to be next Wednesday. And that is raising money for that senior gift that they're going to be presenting.
So if we come Thursday night, will somebody there direct us where you want us to sit?
Yes, just me, Barbara Ector, or Becky Guthrie will be up front. So you just find us and
I'll be there,
we'll put
look for me.
you, Dr. Dyer.
I'll wave at you.
So we'll get you set up, and it's a pretty great night. We're excited to celebrate our seniors. And as Skylar said, we've got several big academic things coming down right now. So it's always exciting to hear where they're going. So.
I want to tell you, CTE, I know Heather had to go with her brother got hit in New York City and you had to fill in softball. But Randy, that was amazing, like 11 or 12 classrooms and it
I
just
know, it was
came
so,
off really good.
it's amazing how you can do that kind of stuff and
Yes.
how innovative, yes, for sure.
Do we have a time for showing up for graduation yet, or are you gonna follow up with an email?
I'm gonna follow it.
To be there, 5:30, is that what you were asking?
Okay,
What time? Yeah, 5:30 in the Jones Wrestling Center is when we're asking teachers to be there, so if you're there at that time, then we'll get you lined up.
And you can park there.
I'll park right there at the wrestling center.
So, okay, sounds exciting. Got a busy.
Busy
couple
few weeks to come.
Yeah, okay, well, thank you. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Board members, anything?
Thank you.
All right. we will
If you have
adjourn.
any issues with your regalia, let me know. Yours has been ordered and everybody else is good. If not, just let Julie know and she can get that to me.
Okay.
We don't have to let me.
Yeah, let's get it.